Hello everyone, I am Tacet, and today I'm going to be going over the dynamic duo Gems of War event in which the Crimson Arrow is added to the game. It is one of the better troops that have been added all year, pretty much, as far as event troops are concerned, and also comes with a pretty good arcane. It is a epic, so you do end up getting 2 arcanes per 400, which is 200 glory each, which is the cheapest you can ever get arcanes for, and these are definitely pretty useful. There's a lot of things, probably about a dozen different troops that it would be really good on, though a few of them would be Gluttony for early game, then things like Mercy and Tapon for first turn mana accumulation, and then eventually something like a fully traded Christine X later on. But yeah, a lot of things to go use it for, so definitely accumulate a lot of them. Plus, you'll want to have more copies of this thing just to have it more upgraded, because it is really decent, particularly in early game to mid game. But Crimson Arrow, what it does is, its ability is not over the top, though for earlier on it could be. It deals damage to an enemy, and then if its attack is greater, it deals 15 more. Also, if they have a Hunter's Mark on it, it'll also deal 15 additional, so it could potentially do 30 additional damage on top of whatever the base damage is. Obviously, that's not ridiculously huge, but if you're dealing with lower stats, that can be quite a bit of damage. The main thing that makes this hero class really good, though, is specifically its traits. You would definitely want to fully trait this thing. But as far as its traits, is the first thing to get Eagle Eye. It places Hunter's Mark on enemies when doing skull damage. This is really good because the Hunter's Mark does indeed occur before the damage is calculated. So we have 39 attack right now. That's going to be doubled to 78, assuming that they can be Hunter's Marked. So Crimson Arrow is basically like a Crimson Bat, except instead of needing true damage on the enemy, it just needs them to not be immune to Hunter's Mark. So this is even better than Crimson Bat in some instances, simply because you'll always be able to do 2 times damage, assuming they don't have Hunter's Mark immunity, whereas the Crimson Bat has a requirement of needing to do damage. The only downside is Crimson Bat can do it to literally everything, whereas this will have the struggle with immunities as well as cleanse and stuff like that. Well, I guess not so much cleanse since it places it every single time, but still, nonetheless, it would have to deal with immunities. But as far as the rest of its traits, it does have Swifts, which will give it almost full mana right off the bat. All you have to do is just simply take a green or blue and it'll be to full, and has 20% dodge, so it's not completely useless in first slot. It does have some durability to be able to actually survive. So overall, really, really good troop. Definitely get a lot of it. Plus, of course, there's just the standard bonuses and everything from using it per week. In the event objectives, we get 400 additional gold for every single time that we end up using it within Explorer. So basically, we just wanted to go run a standard Explorer team, just something with Sunbird up front, a Firebomb, and just keep kind of farming off gold that way if we want to go do Explorer farming. Unfortunately, it does not overlap to PvP, so we won't be able to use it for that, but still, if you wanted to go do some Explorer traits done farming, you can go do that with extra gold, basically double the amount, or at least as much gold that Explorer normally gives, it's essentially double the amount. But we have 10% to all Shantang, 10% to all Elves. That comes into play a little bit as there are several overlaps within the Kingdom of Shantang Elves. And other than that, we unfortunately have a treasure map event, or fortunately, unfortunately, this is really good in early to mid game, though later on in the game, I don't know, it's just a little bit tedious to do that many maps. You don't get too many resources, but it is a good time, at least if nothing else, to accumulate a lot of gems. Not only do you gain gem keys, but gems themselves, but you'll also be getting gems from actually doing the game mode itself of Treasure Hunt. So it could be a good time to go accumulate a little bit more. But anyways, from there, let's go just take our tribute. As far as event keys are concerned, I pretty much just ignore it. There's only Yagway is the only good drop, and there's currently no mythic within the drop table. And even after Friday, this Friday, when a new mythic is being introduced to the game, there still will be no mythic in the drop table, so don't even really bother with event keys unless you need a Yagway this week. And it's pretty much a good week to go and just simply skip doing that. As far as the invasions, we have ourselves a kind of interesting troop. We have a very interesting weapon, somewhat okay troop. The troop is weird in that it is an invasion troop that does not have skull reduction, so we can't really use it in first slot. We can if we want, but it's going to die too quickly at the higher level ranges, so we're probably just going to have to use Mang Titan or something like that in order to survive and just keep taking Browns for barrier, or just simply go down the Dawnbringer route, which is the team I'll be showing here. But as far as the weapon, really, really good weapon. Definitely advise getting it. Well, all weapons of these type I would advise getting if you can. Spend 250 gems each week. But it destroys a column, and then for every yellow gem destroyed, it ends up creating 4 reds. With the coloration that it has combined with what this does, this is basically a Moneylender / Hellcat replacement. So now you can run this hero in first slot while using Sky Hero combined with an Alchemist. And now you have that double combo that you can use with Yagway, Queen Titania, Goblin Rockets, any kind of big red like a World Breaker, or really just about anything. So this is a really nice replacement because prior the Alchemist, Moneylender, Alchemist Hellcat, with like 2 things behind it. Couldn't really fit a hero into it too well, but now you can basically level every hero class by doing a team somewhat similar to that. So that's pretty cool. Really good weapon, decent perks as far as everything that ends up getting. It has cleanse, so you can use it in first slot to not have to deal with entangle and stuff like that. Ends up getting a little bit extra mana to all your allies, even though it doesn't specifically have any damage. It deals 5 damage to the first 2 enemies, and is just overall a pretty decent weapon for once, so that's nice as well. Anyways, let's just go right into the fight. I'm going to be using Silver Maiden, which is the best tank from this kingdom. Really good as well. As leader, has 40% score reduction, and everything about its ability helps us tank. It might be a little bit slower, but it's definitely going to make sure we pretty much never lose. Dawnbringer here is just for more barrier. As I mentioned earlier, we can just run Mang in first slot and just run supports for it. The standard Ray Troop, pretty just normal, and also gets 2 enchants, which is nice. And Diviner simply to give us all the yellow mana we need, and it also has a few other effects that could potentially help us, but we're mainly going to be using it to feed Dawnbringer and the Sleeful Yan. So anyways, let's go into the battle. As far as this specific team, using Dawnbringer, we're just going to want to spam it. If you don't have Dawnbringer, Sun and Moon will also do essentially the exact same thing, plus it will cover more colors in the way once the first slot ends up dying. Anyways, let's go, and I guess we'll actually ignore skulls and just go all in on mana, since we would just want to get our Diviner. From Diviner, we just want to go and get all the mana we need, and from all the mana, we just simply cast a few times, and that will essentially be that. Move that back over if we have it. Already back to full, so we just keep spamming it. Get Dawnbringer down, get like 2 more Dawnbringer downs, and we'll be good to go. Take down to green, get our last little bit of mana, not even close, never mind. We didn't get it 5 times or anything. We'll go one-shot one of these. This will give us 2 enchants as well if we weren't already. And now we're gaining a bunch of mana per turn by doing nothing, so that's pretty nice. We also end up gaining the enchant as a possibility off of Diviner, which will help make sure that we keep our mana up on absolutely everything. But let's just go take ideally a red or yellow here. So we'll take that, get the last little bit of red for Dawnbringer. He might get that down, but we'll be able to just clear out the barrier with the Dawnbringer there. We have this tank, which is basically never going to die. We can take it for some mana too by doing something like that, and even get rid of a barrier. If the first slot has a barrier on it, we could do that to get rid of it. But yeah, it ends up working out pretty nicely. Really tanky. It gains not only the cleanse and barrier every single time, it has some board control with the destroy a row, which does accumulate the mana, and then it gains armor and life, so it's pretty much never going to die. Not to mention it boosts based on yellow, which we will be accumulating a lot of due to Diviner constantly hitting. But we'll stick a skull, down it goes, and that's pretty much what I'll be using for most of the earlier battles. Then probably, of course, as always, just switching over to something like Mang for the later ones. And since the invasion troop can't really be used up front, I'm not going to go some kind of Earth Fury team. We're probably just going to go all in Mang using Titan, most likely. But anyways, that is that. Let's go over to the event stuff. So Tuesday, we're going to be having the event for the Hall of Guardians. I don't know how far I'm going to be going on that. I think I might just let it go up naturally. But still, pretty nice faction to go and delve in. As far as Wednesday, we're going to be getting the Goat. It's the Pan's Veil bonus, nothing really too special with that. With Thursday, we're going to be having the Oracle Hero class. Again, nothing really too special about that. It's one of the, I wouldn't say exactly weaker, but it's definitely not high up there. It's probably about middle range as far as hero classes are concerned. And then on Friday, we're going to be getting a new Mythic, which is going to be a Divine counter. A little bit late, but I guess better late than never. I don't know how well it's actually going to work as a Divine counter, but its role is to be a Divine counter for the Zoom Kingdoms coming in. Might even synergize with Doomskull some. And other than that, I believe we have the Gnome event this Friday. So we have that to enjoy all weekend as well to go get more resources. Anyways, as far as Soulforge, there are a few things that are somewhat worth crafting. Mainly the Mythics. I would say there's 3 or 1, depending on how you look at it. The one you would definitely want to consider is Wardbreaker. Wardbreaker is really good with Fairish Ra, and most people probably get Fairish Ra pretty early simply because of how well it's farms souls. One team I love running with it personally is Mountain Crusher Titan in first slot, or Dragon Guard, either or, followed by Dragon Soul, Wardbreaker, and Fairish Ra. Accumulates a lot of souls, covers every color between Fairish Ra plus Wardbreaker, and everything that Wardbreaker can't kill, like Submerges and stuff, Fairish Ra can easily one-shot. So it covers basically all of your bases that you really need, and it's just a really good troop. He got buffed, nerfed. Actually, what's kind of funny is all 3 of these, I believe, are the first time that they are available since they got buffed in the most recent patch. Well, Scorpius and Skady got buffed. Wardbreaker kind of got nerfed and buffed simultaneously. But out of everything, single thing that uses explosions, Wardbreaker was the only one that was really rebalanced after that. He ended up getting a 2 lower mana cost, which is nice, down from 32 down to 30. and he ended up getting a 1 extra increase onto his growth. It used to only do 4, and now it does 5. So even though they nerfed explosions down from 70% to 50% in the most recent patch, it is still really decent to use him due to the slight buff that they gave to him. So yeah, really nice troop still. That hasn't really changed. As far as these two also got changed since the patch, and I believe all 3 of these, this has been the first time since 4.0 that they've been available in Soulforge. Scorpius, I personally don't care for, though it is a pretty good double kill option. They ended up removing the cooldown on its ability. It used to only be able to be cast once ever, and then never again. But now you can cast it as many times as you ever want. So basically what you can do now is just double kill the entire enemy team. You just cast once, it'll double kill. You cast again, it'll double kill. The biggest issue with Scorpius normally, even though it can do that now, is it needs all enemies to be poisoned. And for one, you have to go put a poison option on your team since he can't effectively do that himself. And you also have to make sure that they can be poisoned. Unlike most status effects, there is more immunities to poison in the game than any other immunity. So you have to be very, very, very careful with that. All undeads have it, all dwarves have it, all impervious have it, plus there's an individual trait that even has it. So there's a lot of things. I think like 1/10 of the things in the game, maybe even a little bit higher than that, all have immune to poison, and Scorpius is really bad against any of them. But he is okay, I guess, on a brown day if you really want to go down that route, brown Guild War day that is, or simply if you want to try it out in delves, though you do have to be careful of the traits that give immune to poison for the rest of the delve, as well as any battle that might have immunity. It's also really bad in crypt because the first and final battle have full immunity to poison, so do be wary of that. But for the other 2 factions that currently exist, like the one tomorrow, you could potentially use it on. I personally don't like using him, but he did get buffed the most recent patch. Other than that, Skady got a gigantic buff. It got reduced from a 25 mana cost down to a 20 in the most recent patch. Other than that, still not really too usable. You'd only really bring it out for Blue Guild War Day and maybe very, very occasionally for Delves if it was one of your few only mythics. But for the most part, wouldn't really bother. Even on Blue Guild War Day, I very rarely run it, though if you are, it's Azura plus Skady if you're going to go do it. Main reason why it's so good on Blue Day is as Perpetual Blue Storm, which helps you just keep blues on the board constantly. So it's pretty good for that, but other than that, I wouldn't really use it in most other contexts. And Wardbreaker would definitely be the best one of the 3, obviously. Other than that, I guess if you did want to go for one of the Legends, Corvash is pretty decent. Best stunner in game, double drain, and double stun as well. Off its ability, it's also pretty decent true damage. Anyways, that's all of those, and I believe that is everything. So let's go into some teams then. There are a few teams that I want to show. I guess we'll just go into the first one and kind of go from there. Do we just go with the first one that we have here? I guess so. We'll just go show this one first. So, this is what I was referring to earlier with now we can use our hero class into a team like this in order to gain hero XP if we want to. It works out pretty decently. Still works out this... Oh, he froze us. Oh, no. Why must he do that on a team that we actually need to be unfrozen on? Okay, so that's going to ruin it slightly, but we're going to lose our turn here. Oh, this weapon does have cleanse, though. So we actually get to show off its cleanse. If I would stop taking turns, that will end our turn. But we actually have a problem here. There's almost no yellow. What happened with all the yellow? Well, this is probably going to miss then, so we're just going to actually wait. We need at least 2 yellows. That's one of the only bad things about this. We do need at least 2 yellows, ideally 3 yellows in a single column in order to actually be able to use it effectively. And if there's nowhere that occurs on the board, then we're going to have a problem. But once you get another Alchemist down, you should be kind of good to go at that point. But we'll go get that down. I haven't even gotten to use this weapon yet. Come on, Alchemist, go get alignment. And then we'll be able to get it easily. Queen Titania still doesn't have it. And Alchemist, from what I could tell... We might just have to throw it somewheres. Ideally not on brown, because we're kind of using that for barrier. Somewheres that will at least give us some mana, though. It looks like brown's the only way to do that. I guess if we have no other option, we will go do it on brown. So we'll do that, get a little bit more yellows on the board. Might give him some mana, but it will indeed give us the capability of starting to run this. So we'll double check again for 13 plus. There isn't, so we'll just go throw that to the side. It's basically like a deep boar in that it ends up getting a column destroyed and then ends up creating a lot of gems. It is a little bit dependent on needing at least 2 or more yellows to be hit. But as long as it's doing that every single time, you are going to be getting a pretty high chance of extra turn, especially if you get 3 or more yellows. You're almost guaranteed an extra turn. Not literally guaranteed, but it's really high up there as far as actual chance. So right here, we could just keep doing that on there, or simply just go for the one that has the most. So we'll go do it all the way to, I guess, the side over here, get all the reds we really need. And it looks like we did miss the extra turn, but we have enough reds here to just go and cast this into a Yagway. But, yeah, will it really be a replacement for the other teams that kind of are around this structure? Probably not, but as far as gaining hero EXP while using a team similar to this, it works pretty well for that. So I didn't take the green there. But another Yagway should be enough damage as long as it doesn't get summoned, and good it didn't. And we'll just kill it out. Yeah, an interesting weapon. Definitely not a completely horrible one, and it does have some actual purposes. But yeah, it's essentially like a weird version of Deep Bore for red for your hero that has some conditions on it. So that's basically that weapon. Why is everyone using Jar of Eyes all of a sudden? But let's go, and I guess we'll show which version of it. I guess we'll show the better version of it first, then we'll show the early game version. So here is a mid-level team using the Crimson Arrow. This, of course, was the new troop that just came in through the Glory Rewards. Do keep in mind, you do not end up getting 400 gold per battle, but it's such a good troop that you might still use it anyways, even without that factor. Oh yeah, we're getting so much first turn freeze because everyone's still using the hero class from last week. Yeah, this could be annoying. I wish people would stop using that. But as you saw there, we just put a Stargazer on it, and now we do 2 times the skull damage, and all we basically need to do now is find some skulls, and we can start getting our team rolling to do that. Unfortunately, this team is very bad against freeze, like many of them that we've been showing right now, but hopefully we'll get frozen by the time we actually get to get full mana on that. So there's no point in taking this for an extra turn, so I might as well take that over so we get a surge and get even more mana. I'm kind of just waiting at this point for this to wear off, so we're just going to have to wait another turn or two so we can start looping. And there we go, now we finally can. First we need to double check for alignment though. We have, let's see, green to yellow and red to skull, and we also have brown to green and purple to skull, neither of which will do anything right now. So I guess we could double check and just make sure it won't backfire at the moment, but let's do that. One nice thing about this Hunter's Mark that ends up placing, even if you don't end up getting the kill, you're still doing that 2 times damage. And the combination that you can normally do to kill, if it wasn't going to be enough to kill, is simply do what we just did and then throw the arrow onto it, and then it'll end up killing it that way with the little bit of extra poke damage. So he just gives us the perfect board to just completely annihilate him. We have that eye every single time, which allows us to do 2 times damage to everything that doesn't have immune, and most things do not have immune to Hunter's Mark. And as you can see, we essentially just one-shot every single thing once we get it going, and we have plenty more skull spam to keep going if we want it. Basically anything with Stargazer feeding that really high amount of attack immediately will be very effective on it. Well, let's just go show an early game version of it, hopefully against something not as annoying. It is pretty bad against Entangle if you don't have a cleanse, so I'm going to skip over that one. And I guess we'll go into this one. It is an early game one, so it's basically just a double arrow, Valkyrie, and Stargazer, or you can replace out Stargazer if you don't want to bother running with that. You can run with Rock Spirit, or if you want to still keep your hero, you can run with Black Manacles, or simply just anything in that slot that will cover more of the colors if you don't have Black Manacles yet. But this team's pretty accessible. Pretty much everyone has Valkyrie, pretty much everyone has Stargazer, and you can get both of these 2 for 800 glory, 400 each. So let's go, and I guess Stargazer right off the bat. We don't really need their mana, though we can use their mana if we want. We mainly just need them for their skulls, but obviously earlier on in the game you will be casting them some, simply because their boost ratio will be very effective. Though this late in the game we're pretty much just going down the route of take skull, take skull, take skull, take skull, and that is match. Every single time. It reminds me of Orion and some of the true damage things used to be like, where they just one-shot everything every single time you would ever even touch them, but works pretty nicely. Also, one really nice thing here too is Stargazer does end up boost ratioing based on the blues removed from the board, so you will end up getting a higher attack boost ratio from the having more of them. But we'll go and just simply double arrow here, I guess kill out the Infernus, and the little bit of extra poke damage that it gets from its ability will be enough to wipe it out. And at this point, we can just go Valkyrie again, get the manas back up, get all of our souls, and that will essentially be matched. Just get rid of greens, and we can simply just skull it and just take it out. But yeah, it is a very fun, very adorable, and just absolutely great troop in every single regard. I personally won't be using it much, just because I don't feel like it'll be as good this late into the game. It is a little bit flimsy. The only skull reduction it has is 20%, and that can be really inconsistent compared to this 50% or higher skull reduction. But overall, really, really nice troop, and definitely advised using. A lot of fun to use, and it's very effective. But anyways, guys, if you have any other questions or anything else you want me to go over, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a wonderful week. Goodbye, everyone!